Alexandra Eala, the ledger that doesn't lie. Alexandra Eala is the first woman from the Philippines to defeat a Grand Slam champion. 4 wins, 3 losses. That's a winning record, maintained by a 21-year-old from the Philippines who, 2 years ago, couldn't get out of Grand Slam qualifying. A winning record built against a reigning Australian Open champion, a woman who spent the better part of 3 years as world number 1, a Wimbledon finalist, and one of the 2 best returners on the planet. 4 wins, 3 losses. The ledger doesn't lie. But it also doesn't tell you everything. And the gap between what the number says and what the number can't say is exactly where Eala lives. Who she is. Her full name is Alexandra Eala. She was born in Quezon City in May 2005, making her 21 years old. She's currently ranked number 35 in the world, a number that sat as high as 29 in March of this year before the clay season chipped away at it, which is itself a story worth telling. She's left-handed, aggressive from the baseline, and ferociously difficult to break when the crowd believes in her. She holds 0 WTA Tour level titles. She holds a winning record against the top 10. Both of those things are true at the same time, and the tension between them is the whole point. Here's what tends to happen when Eala beats someone famous: the coverage arrives brief and dismissive, filed under shock result, and then archived. The implication is always the same: this is an anomaly, a one-off, a fluke produced by a good day and a distracted opponent. What that framing refuses to engage with is the accumulation. A single upset is a surprise. For top 10 wins across 2 seasons and 3 separate tournaments, each one in straight sets, each one on hard courts, where she does her best work, is not a fluke. That's a pattern. The question isn't whether Eala belongs in a conversation with the world's best players. She's already had that conversation on court, and she's won it more often than she's lost it. The more interesting question is, what kind of player are we actually watching? Miami, March 2025. The Foundation. Eala arrives as a wildcard, ranked 140th in the world. Her first significant opponent is Madison Keys, seeded 5th, the reigning Australian Open champion, fresh off some of the most dominant ball striking the women's game had seen in years. The score, 6-4, 6-2. Eala didn't survive Keys, she dismantled her. It was her first top 10 win at WTA Tour level, collected in 56 minutes of clean, pressuring tennis against a slam champion who had no answer for it. 2 days later, she played IGA Swiatek, then world number 2 and, for the previous 3 years, essentially the world number 1, a dominant clay court force who'd also proven she could win on hard courts. Swiatek had won the French Open 4 times and the US Open once, and spent more weeks at the top of the rankings than almost anyone in the last decade. Eala, ranked 140th, beat her 6-2, 7-5. She went up 4-2 in the second set. Swiatek pegged it back to 4-all, and Eala won the next 3 games. Straight sets. The first wildcard in WTA history to defeat 3 major champions at a single 1,000-level event in straight sets. Most coverage stops there. Miami 2025 becomes the whole story, the peak, the miracle run replayed whenever her name comes up. But stopping at Miami misreads what's happening. Miami wasn't a peak. It was a foundation. Dubai, February 2026, the pattern emerges 11 months later, ranked in the mid-40s after a full year of climbing the tour. Eala walks onto the night session court against Jasmine Paolini, seeded 6th, the reigning French Open finalist, the reigning Wimbledon finalist, and the previous year's Dubai champion. Eala described the atmosphere as unlike anything she'd experienced, a stadium full of Filipinos, and she could feel, in the changeovers, how many of them were praying for her to win. She took the first set 6-1, brutally efficient. In the second, Paolini clawed back, saved 3 match points, broke Eala when she served for it, and dragged the set to a tiebreak that went to 5-all before Eala closed it out 7-5. Final score, 6-1, 7-6. Her third top 10 win, and her second straight sets result against elite opposition. Here's the pattern worth naming: all of Eala's top 10 wins have come in straight sets. All of her top 10 losses have gone to 3 sets. When she beats the best players in the world, she doesn't squeak through, she wins clearly. When she loses to them, she fights to the limit. That asymmetry suggests her game rises specifically to the occasion. She's not a player who grinds out wins on nerves and luck. Against the very best, she finds a higher gear. The Dubai run ended in the quarterfinals against Coco Gauff, who produced one of the most thorough performances of her year, 6-0, 6-2, winning 77% of first-serve points and giving Eala no foothold across 67 minutes. By any measure, a demolition. This is where the skeptic is right, not about the 4 wins, but about the volatility. She can beat Paolini 6-1 in a set and 3 days later lose 6-0 in a set. She's 21, still developing the consistency that separates the top 10 from the top 30. She lost in the first round of the Australian Open that year, and in the first round of Roland Garros in both 2025 and 2026. The tour eats young players alive some weeks, and Eala isn't immune to that. The ledger cuts both ways, and honesty requires saying so. Indian Wells, March 2026, the answer 3 weeks later, on International Women's Day, in the third round of the BNP Paribas Open, Eala faces the same Coco Gauff who'd handed her a 67-minute lesson in Dubai, ranked 4th in the world, a two-time major champion, one of the most dangerous players on hard courts. This is the emotional center of the story, not because of how it ended, but because of how it started. Eala broke Gauff's serve in the opening game. She broke it again. She broke every single service game Gauff held in the first set, for service games, for breaks. The set ended 6-2, with Gauff committing 26 unforced errors to Eala's 12. The player who'd been broken for an entire set 3 weeks earlier was now the one doing the breaking. In the second set, with Eala leading 2-0, Gauff stopped playing, called for the trainer for a left elbow issue, and ultimately retired. Final score, 6-2, 2-0, retirement. It's important to be precise here. Gauff was hurt, and a retirement is a retirement, not a completed match. But it's also true that by the time the elbow gave out, Eala had already done something the data said was improbable. She'd dismantled, in straight-set fashion, the same player who'd dismantled her on the same surface in the same season. With the win, Eala improved to 4 wins and 3 losses against top 10 opponents. The real climax wasn't the final point that never came, it was the first 6 games, proof that the Dubai loss had been information, and the Indian Wells response was the answer to it. The mindset. This is where the data and the intangibles meet. The number 4 and 3 is a snapshot. What it doesn't tell you is that the Gauff win came 3 weeks after the Gauff loss, on the same surface, and that Eala went out and corrected the equation in real time. That's not the behavior of a player who beats elite opponents by accident, it's the behavior of one who studies, adjusts, and competes at a level the rankings haven't caught up to yet. At Birmingham this June, after winning her second WTA 125 title and her first grass court trophy, beating Nikola Bartunkova 5-7, 6-3, 6-3 in the final, she said, "I am so honored to be lifting this trophy today. Lifting this trophy does not mean that I will be among the greats yet. So I'm motivated to keep working. Not, I belong among the greats. Not, I have arrived." She refuses the inflation, immediately reframing the trophy as motivation rather than destination. That's not false modesty, it's the mindset of someone who understands the difference between a winning record against the top 10 and a permanent place there. That self-awareness is exactly what makes her dangerous in the long run. The record by verifiable record, she's the first Filipino to break into the WTA top 30, the first to reach a WTA Tour level final, and the first to hold multiple wins over major champions in the Open era. These aren't rhetorical flourishes, they're a documented floor, a baseline the next chapter gets built from. She won the 2022 US Open Junior title. She went from 140th in the world to a career high of 29th in a single year of full-time tour tennis. She's 21 years old with a winning record against the best players on earth. The volatility is real. The first-round slam losses are real. The gap between top 30 and top 10 is real, and it's wide. Every serious analyst who watches her play names her serve as the ceiling on her ceiling. She'll need to translate her top 10 performance level into the kind of consistency that shows up across slam draws, not just in the third round of hardcourt Masters events. None of that is hidden here, because none of it diminishes what she's actually done. After a first-round exit at Roland Garros this spring, she could have drifted. Instead, she flew to Birmingham, qualified into the field, and won the tournament in a 3-set final, beating someone she'd lost to in junior tennis years earlier. She answered a slam loss with a grass court title. That recovery arc is as much a part of her profile as the upset wins, and it tells the same story. She doesn't stay down. What's next? She has a wild card for the Bad Homburg Open, running June 21st through 27th, with Wimbledon beginning June 29th. She'll walk onto the grass at the All England Club, a surface she's now won a title on, ranked 35th in the world, carrying a record against the top 10 that most players at her ranking have never come close to matching. The question at Wimbledon isn't whether she deserves to be there. She's already answered that 4 times, against 4 different opponents who are better paid, better ranked, and more decorated than she is. The question is whether the tennis conversation is finally ready to stop treating her wins as surprises. Alexandra Eala isn't visiting the top of the game on a day pass. She's not a wild card who got lucky in Miami and has been coasting on that story ever since. She's built a ledger methodically across 2 full seasons, against Keys, Swiatek, Paolini, and Goff, and that ledger is a winning one. The number is 4-3. The feeling is something the number only partially captures, a 21-year-old from Quezon City, playing in front of stadiums full of people praying for her, with the composure to win those matches and the wisdom to know that winning them isn't the end of the work. She belongs. The data says so. The court has said so, 6-2, 6-2, and 6-1, 6-2, in straight sets, against the best players in the world. And the next room she's walking into, the greenest and most storied court in tennis, is just the latest proof that she's earned her place in every room she enters.